I'm Katie Bentley, Chairwoman of the Board of Trustees. It is a pleasure to join you today from the comfort of home. On behalf of our boards, I would like to welcome you to the very first virtual State of Newfields. Everything that we do as an organization is rooted in the mission to enrich lives through exceptional experiences with art and nature. Today, we come together to celebrate the many ways that Newfields has enriched life in our city in the past year, discuss how we will continue to do so during this unprecedented time, and look ahead to the future. For 137 years, Newfields has grown alongside the families and communities we serve. As most dedicated supporters, now more than ever, you make this possible. As you are all aware, the novel coronavirus has changed our way of life and affected many industries across the globe. Newfields, unfortunately, was no different and had to close its doors on March 17th due to local and state government mandates. This was difficult to face, however, the safety of our Newfields staff, guests, volunteers, and all other constituents was our highest concern. Closing our campus was what we needed to do to protect our Newfields family. While a small key group of employees have continued to secure Newfields since its closure, and we thank them sincerely for their dedication, most of Newfields staff has been working from home and may continue to do so until early September. Once the state quarantine was mandated, keeping our audiences engaged became our priority. One of the first initiatives that our marketing department developed in collaboration with many other departments and staff members was Newfields at Home. This interactive platform houses videos, interviews, online activities, and more for our guests to view from the safety of their homes. Here are a few facts that speak to the impact of that project. Since launch, the webpage Newfields at Home has been viewed 4,130 times. Total video views exceed 137,000 across Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. 10 departments have contributed content so far, including curatorial, horticulture, education, public programs, culinary arts, facilities, conservation, and Charles himself. This year's Spring Blooms exhibition was extraordinary, but sadly the public was unable to see it. Undaunted, our horticultural team decided to take Spring Blooms to our neighbors. Led by Jonathan Wright and his marvelous horticultural team, we harvested more than 2,000 perfect tulips and then delivered them to the Martin Luther King Community Center, who donated them to patients in nursing homes and hospitals. The MLK Center also received and distributed thousands of spring blooming annuals such as pansies, violas, and lettuce plants from Newfields. Truckloads of plants and vegetable starts were donated to the Planter House. While intended for use in Spring Blooms, we were thrilled that Planter Farm was able to take these decorative vegetable varieties and use them to supply fresh food to at-risk families in central Indiana. Similarly, the talented Newfields Culinary Arts team was also hard at work finding ways they could be helpful amid the pandemic. I'm proud to report that for the last several months, Newfields has worked with Second Helpings as a satellite kitchen partner. Through this partnership, the Culinary Arts team came in daily to prepare meals that were distributed through Second Helpings to families and neighbors in need. I also want to say thank you to our wonderful volunteer leadership. A large round of applause goes to every member of both the Board of Trustees and Board of Governors. Thank you for your time, leadership, and true devotion to Newfields. I want to give a special thank you to Matt Gutwein, Kent Harlick, Pete Morris, Tom Pence, and Sharon Rogers, who rotated off the Board of Trustees last month. I would also like to thank Trent Cowles, who rotated off the Board of Governors. Through dedication, leadership, and generosity, these outstanding individuals have provided exceptional service to our institution. We also paid a said a fond farewell to our 6 affiliate groups as they retired on June 30th. Over the years, they have been a valued part of Newfields, and we are forever grateful for their volunteer leadership and the generosity of their time, talent, and treasure. Members of the 6 affiliate groups have contributed greatly to our becoming a great cultural complex, and in that spirit of thankfulness, we have gifted affiliate members a complimentary $500 level membership to the Patron Society that is active until December 31, 2021. We are committed to ensuring that affiliate members will continue to be engaged with Newfields. As members of the Patron Society, they will have opportunities to participate in enhanced educational and social events, exhibition openings, society gallery talks, cocktails and conversations, curator's choice, and much more. Thank you to affiliate members over the years. The memories we have created will last a lifetime, and we look forward to making more memories through Patron Society events and programs. A special thank you also goes to the outgoing Board of Governors Chair, Gary Butkus. Gary was an extraordinary leader during the first 2 years of the Board of Governors. His talent, professionalism, and dedication to Newfields set the governors on the right path for the future. During his tenure, the governors developed the scope of their vital work, which they defined as making an impact on the programmatic offerings of Newfields to meet the expectations and demands of a more diverse population, building advocacy for Newfields through fundraising in a more diverse set of constituent groups, and helping to shape the future makeup of more inclusive Board of Trustees by acting as a pipeline for volunteer leaders. Thank you, Gary. The work you've begun will help lead Newfields into the future. Last but certainly not least, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to commend Charles and his team Newfields for the extraordinary leadership expressed during the most unusual time. Thanks to his foresight, Newfields was foremost in meeting the challenges COVID presented. He and his team anticipated the problems and executed on a well-considered plan. Thank you, Charles, and thank you, Newfields team, for ensuring the stability and future of this terrific community asset. I would now like to introduce our new chairwoman of the Board of Governors, Lily Pye.
Thank you, Katie. It is a pleasure to participate today. As well as serving as the chairwoman of the Board of Governors, I also serve on the Governance Committee. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the members of the committee for their thoughtful contributions to our discussions during this past year and for their commitment to Newfields. There is no work more important to an institution than the thoughtful and strategic selection of board members. It's my pleasure now to introduce you to the 4 trustees who have been re-elected for an additional 3-year term. The trustees are David Eskenazi, Michael Kubaki, Murtapuliam, and Gary Shaket. With the unanimous support of the Board of Trustees, I am also pleased to introduce you to our 3 new trustees, Ellen Crabb, Kathy Postlewhite, and Ann Sellers. And to salute now the new Board of Trustee officers for fiscal year 21. With the addition of 9 talented new governors, the Board of Governors now stands at 22 members. I am pleased to introduce you to our new governors, Elissa Campodonico Barr, Chris Gall, Gretchen Hale, Madison Romadka, Suzanne Janetta, Ira Mayer, Laura Michael, Michael Petrie, and Doug Singleton. Last but not least, here are the Board of Governors officers for fiscal year 21. It's an honor to serve alongside Jason and Helmi and I look forward to our work ahead. As Katie mentioned, I want to thank Charles for his leadership during this tough time. And now I would like to welcome back Katie Beckley to announce the recipients of this year's Distinguished Service Award, which recognizes volunteer leaders for their singular contributions to Newfields over the course of their lifetimes.
Hello again. It is a true pleasure to recognize two longtime members of the Newfields family and present them with our highest honor, the Distinguished Service Award. Please join me in congratulating Jim and Pat LaCrosse. Pat started her volunteer journey with Newfields in 1983. Since then, she has served on the Board of Trustees, acted as board secretary, been a dedicated docent in the IMA galleries, served on numerous committees. Through her leadership, Pat was also instrumental in reinvigorating the Second Century Society that is now known as the Newfields Society. Jim and Pat are both current Newfields Life trustees. Along with the LaCrosse's dedicated volunteerism, Jim and Pat have also donated vital philanthropic support to the Indianapolis Museum of Art at Newfields, including the most recent conservation project of Robert Indiana's iconic Love sculpture in 2017. At the time, the Newfields crowd favorite work of art needed crucial conservation treatment due to its time outdoors in Indiana's climate. After the treatment was complete, the monumental sculpture was brought indoors to welcome guests into the IMA galleries for generations to come. It speaks to the world, it speaks to the growth of Indianapolis and wrapped up how we feel about IMA and the city, said Jim and Pat LaCrosse on their motivation for funding the conservation of love. Newfields is honored to have such devoted leaders and are thrilled to celebrate Jim and Pat LaCrosse as the 2020 Distinguished Service Award winners. And now I would like to introduce the Melvin and Bren Simon Director and CEO, Charles Venable.
Thank you, Katie and Lily, for participating in Newfields' very first virtual event. I'm thrilled to have you both as chairs of our two outstanding boards. While I will not be presenting complicated financial charts during my presentation, I did want you to know that we just closed our last fiscal year on July 30th. And after a lot of hard work and despite the pandemic, I'm exceptionally pleased to tell you that we were able to not only balance our budget, but we were able to improve upon our spending rate during a very difficult financial time and ended the year at a 5.25% draw from our endowment. I now want to review some of last year's achievement, although I know to all of us it seems like a million years ago. After that, we'll look forward and give you a glimpse of things to come. Let's start with a couple of exhibitions and experiences from last year that helped us maintain our financial stability through the campus closure since March due to COVID-19. Last October, Newfields set out to engage our audiences with a brand new season. With a grant from the Lilly Endowment and help from J.P. Morgan as the presenting sponsor, we feel we are well on our way to accomplishing that goal through Harvest, our new fall festival. Last year, this event was a long 4-day weekend jammed-packed with all things Harvest, everything from fall programming and art-making activities to culinary demonstrations, from local chefs and vendors, and of course, we doubled down on pumpkins. We had over 10,000 pumpkins and gourds on display in the gardens, and they were all grown right here in Indiana. Our efforts last year drew around 13,000 people, far exceeding our expectations. You might also remember this installation in which pumpkins stretched to the horizon. Debuting during Harvest and installed in the June McCormick Forefront Gallery, it was called Infinity Kusama by the Japanese artist Yao Kusama. Infinity Kusama stayed beyond Harvest and brought many first-time visitors to Newfields. Another great exhibition of Japanese art debuting last October was our beautiful display of Japanese paintings. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, the Indianapolis Museum of Art at Newfields presented a major exhibition of artworks selected from our stellar Japanese painting collection. The exhibition featured over 80 Japanese masterworks in the form of folding screens, hanging and hand scrolls, fans, and album leaves, ranging from the intimate to the monumental in size, including works done solely in ink, along with gorgeous paintings in rich pigments on gold and silver leaf grounds. Our collection of Japanese painting is considered to be one of the finest in the United States, thanks in many ways to the efforts of our curator of Asian art, Dr. John Teramoto. Newfields then ended 2019 with another successful installation of winter lights. Since its inception 3 years ago, I continue to be amazed by how our community has embraced this wonderful wonderland of light, to the point that last winter saw nearly 110,000 guests enjoying the holidays here at Newfields, while generating over $2 million in earned revenue, which is now our largest earned income stream from any single event by far. The last past exhibition that I will mention is one that you had to be in China to see. For the first time in history, 60 European paintings from the Indianapolis Museum of Art's collection traveled to China for a traveling exhibition called Rembrandt to Monet, 500 Years of European Painting from the Clues collection and the Indianapolis Museum of Art. The exhibition encompasses the most influential periods and schools of European art history and highlights artists including Titian, Rubens, Rembrandt, Goya, Gauguin, and Monet, amongst others. This international exhibition is curated by Dr. Shel Wangenstein, Associate Curator of European Art at Newfields. He selected the works for their ability to clearly convey the broader narrative of European art history, from the early Italian Renaissance through 19th century French Impressionism. The traveling show includes notable works such as Rembrandt's self-portrait from about 1629, which is among the very few works by this great master to ever be seen in China. In early January, Shel and I had the honor of being in the South China city of Guangzhou to celebrate the amazing opening of our exhibition. Tragically, however, within 2 weeks, the host museum was forced to close due to the rise of COVID-19. After many weeks of closure, I'm pleased to report that our exhibition reopened under strict safety regulations and has now moved on to the city of Changsha in Hunan province, where it will remain until September before going to its last stop in China, to the city of Chengdu in Sichuan. While we are delighted to be able to share some of our finest European paintings with the Chinese public while the Clues Pavilion is being renovated, it also proved to be a perfect time to have additional income coming back to us in the form of venue fees that will help us weather the difficult financial times. Now let me tell you a little bit about some staff announcements. I'd like to start with a very special thank you to 2 senior staff members, Kim Gattle and Preston Bautista. Kim made the recent decision to retire from Newfields in order to spend more time with her husband. Kim joined Newfields in 2014 and over the ensuing 6 years secured many gifts to fund our master plan through the Newfields campaign. Similarly, after 8 years of exceptional service as Deputy Director for Public Programs and Audience Engagement here at Newfields, Dr. Preston Bautista accepted a new and exciting position as Vice President of Learning and Engagement at the Morton Arboretum outside of Chicago. His broad responsibilities here at Newfields will no doubt prove a strong foundation to support his new efforts at the Morton. I've enjoyed working closely with Kim and Preston and wish them the greatest success going forward. I also want to take a moment to now recognize advancement team leaders who have taken on new responsibilities. Grace Miles, who is our Director of Member and Donor Experiences and Director of Advancement, has accepted my offer to have her serve as Interim Deputy Director for Institutional Advancement following Kim Gaddle's departure, a role in which she is doing an excellent job. Krista Thacker joined the IMA in 2015 and was instrumental in the formation of our new Board of Governors. Recently, she has added Newfields membership and donor engagement to her plate, and she will manage the newly formed Donor Society Advisory Committee. Christine Baldwin joined Newfields in 2016 and now is Director of Philanthropy and Planned Giving. She currently manages a team of philanthropy officers in addition to working directly with Newfields donors and growing the Planned Giving circle called the Legacy Society. And here's the rest of our exceptional and dedicated philanthropy team. Alexis Davenport, Annual Giving Officer. Riley Hill Cartel, Corporate Giving Officer. Katrina Kuntz, Foundation Relations Gift Officer. Molly Overby, Philanthropy Officer. And last but certainly not least, Charlita Winston, Philanthropy Officer. In our curatorial department, Shelley Salem, our Curator of Design and Decorative Arts, accepted my invitation to become the Interim Director for Curatorial Affairs following the departure of Preston Bautista, a role which she is also doing an exceptional job in. Shell Wangenstein, who oversees the collection of European painting and sculpture before 1800, was promoted to the rank of Associate Curator. I now would like to introduce you to Fred Wallace, our new Chief Conservator and Director of Conservation. Fred brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to our conservation team, having served as conservator at the Cincinnati Art Museum and the Mariners Museum in Newport News, Virginia. And in both places, Fred rose to the rank of Chief Conservator. We have also had several key promotions in our Horticulture and Natural Resources Department. Chandler Bryant, whose background is wildlife biology, was promoted to the position of Director of Natural Resources thanks to his tireless advocacy for restoring habitat in Fairbanks Park. Irvin Etienne has been appointed Curator of Herbaceous Plants and Seasonal Garden Design. As many of you know, Irvin's specialization in herbaceous plants and making unmatched plant combinations have wowed our garden visitors for nearly 3 decades. And Jamie Fry has been appointed Assistant Curator of Living Collections, thanks in no small part to her efforts to professionalize our plant records and allow us to more accurately track and care for our living collections. Now let's talk a little bit about acquisitions for the year. I'm pleased to announce the exceptional addition of this monumental minimalist sculpture to our contemporary collection. It is by the Bay Area artist Fletcher Benton and is called Folded Circle Dynamic Rhythms Red Phase 3, and it's from 1973. Benton's dynamic sculpture is constructed from 2 red-painted aluminum half circles placed perpendicularly to each other with a stainless steel band around the edges. A vertical kinetic element features colored acrylic panels that move back and forth, creating rhythmic color changes, enhancing the design. This monumental sculpture was installed in the Pulliam Family Great Hall in March, right before we had to close our doors. so it awaits you upon your return to Newfields on July 17th. When you see it, I hope you feel, as I do, that it has a wonderful interplay with Robert Irwin's great Light and Space 3 from 2008. And that its huge scale fits perfectly in this large atrium space. I would like to take this opportunity to thank John and Molly Ott, who have pledged the sculpture as an irrevocable gift to the museum, to John's parents, Sheila and Randy Ott, for their financial support in installing the work, and to the Alliance, which funded the conservation of this exciting work of art. Along with the Benton sculpture, I want to show you two other works that demonstrate the wide range of art that the IMA acquired last year. On the left side of this slide is a print by William Rice that was featured in last year's exhibition, Outside In, where we displayed 41 prints and drawings by this noted printmaker. This print and 11 additional ones by Rice were the gift of his daughter, Roberta Rice Tressiter, who was supported in her donation by her daughter, Ellen Tressiter Sexauer. We're so very grateful to both of them. At the other end of the art spectrum, we received a major gift to our decorative arts collection last December. After enjoying the friendship of an anonymous silver collector for nearly 30 years, I was elated when he told me he had decided to give this incredible dessert stand, also called an épergne, to the IMA. There are only 3 of these fantastical pieces known in which the stand takes the form of a golden grapevine that grows up out of the table, where its spreading leaves held fruit and candy to the delight of an 18th century diner. Now on to the most exciting news of all. We were finally cleared to reopen in mid-June. Starting June 23rd, we happily opened the garden and the Virginia B. Fairbanks Art and Nature Park, as well as the beer garden. Although these spaces are outdoors, we highly recommended that our guests wear a face covering or mask when near anybody not in their family party, and was very, very pleased when our guests agreed with us, virtually all of them showing up with face coverings. I cannot thank the Newfields teams enough for all the hard work and extensive planning that it took to completely shift our focus to COVID-19 safety protocols. This reopening went extremely well, and our first 2 member days saw 400 members each day arrive at Newfields again. Thank you if you came to visit, or if you supported Newfields financially through our Resilience Fund program during the closure. We simply cannot do it without you. Sadly, due to COVID-19, we had to make the tough decision to cancel almost all remaining programming in 2020, including the crowd favorite, the National Bank of Indianapolis Summer Night Film Series. However, NBI graciously transitioned its support and became the sponsor for our reopening, which we are calling Summer at Newfields. We're extremely thankful to NBI for continuing their support during a time when we need it the most. Part of Summer at Newfields is the debut of a brand new outdoor exhibition in the garden called Anders Ruwald Century Garden. This open air installation features 5 sculptural vignettes by Chicago-based artist Anders Ruwald. The installation engages the 100-year-old history of the garden at Newfields by interrupting its European style with colorful ceramic sculptures featuring striking tropical and native plant arrangements. When you return to the museum, you will also be able to see Ruwald's other installation, Holes, that is already installed in the Ephraimson family entrance pavilion. This is a large-scale ceramic light sculpture featuring dozens of dangling ceramic rings, each casting circular shadows as the sun moves throughout the day. And in the evening, small light bulbs will illuminate the installation, making for a dramatic entrance into Newfields. As I mentioned earlier, the beer garden also opened on June 23rd for guests to once again enjoy favorite menu items such as Among the Leaves beer from Sun King Brewing Company and a shareable giant pretzel. Their beer garden will be open during all regular Newfields hours and with intentionally limited seating available, and each table is placed 6 feet apart for guests to use. Or as always, we encourage our guests to have a beer or some food and to stroll through the beautiful garden. All culinary staff members will be wearing the required personal protective equipment such as masks and gloves. Just before the holiday weekend, we announced that phase 2 of our reopening, which includes the IMA galleries, the cafe and shop, the Lily House, and the Madeline F. Elder Greenhouse. All spaces will operate at a reduced capacity for safety reasons, and masks will be required for guests to enter all indoor spaces. Both the museum and the garden will be included in general admission and free to members, but an advanced online ticket is required for entry. This allows us to safely control crowd size while also maintaining a contactless check-in process. I am extremely pleased to announce that the IMA's reopening is paired with the summer debut of Edward Hopper and the American Hotel, presented by Shochet Hotels here in Indianapolis. This major exhibition will feature the Indianapolis Museum of Art's iconic hotel lobby, which you see here on the left, along with 56 other Hopper paintings, drawings, and watercolors. Guests will discover how the Hopper's paintings were influenced by his fascination with hotels. The art will be accompanied by first-hand accounts of travelers in Hopper's time in the form of photographs, postcards, and personal stories from the artist and his wife, as well as Americans with different backgrounds, revealing how travel and hotel culture was very different depending on one's race, gender, and class. While the white artist Hopper could check into virtually any hotel of his choice in mid-20th century America, this was not true of Black Americans nor single women because of racism and sexism. These facts are highlighted in the show to give a more accurate depiction of hotel culture in American life during that time. As I stated before, we made a decision to cancel almost all remaining programming for 2020. This decision was made to ensure Newfields can focus on the planning of a safe campus reopening in phases, the rescheduling of the Hopper exhibition, and the planning for upcoming large-scale seasonal festivals such as Harvest and Winter Lights. This year's Harvest, presented by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company, will return with exciting brand new elements and the goal of being able to welcome even more of our community to enjoy the fall season at Newfields. To be able to do this, we have extended the experience to the entire month of October and added some new, shall we say, spooky twists. Here is an inspiration image of what creatives at Newfield have been up to during the lockdown. We all know the lockdown has made us do some strange things. Called Harvest Nights, this new experience will invite guests to take a nighttime stroll through the garden on an unused path on the backside of the old Lily Estate that will be transformed into the Great Pumpkin Walk, all aglow in the evening air. We found the perfect soundtrack to go with this seasonal display and will have exciting food and beverage selection, daytime activities, and much more for your pleasure. And as the grand finale, the Lily House will come alive with the mischievous doings of ghosts and goblins. Winter Lights, presented by Bank of America, will follow Harvest for its 4th year. This year's experience comes with brand new components such as dancing, northern lights, and additional musical elements to put you in a holiday mood. Now, in conclusion, I want to speak to you briefly about the most important effort Newfields has been working on for the past several years and is continuing today and into the future. In 2018, the Board of Trustees appointed a task force to review our strategic plan. The result was a much greater emphasis on inclusivity in that plan. In fact, inclusivity, as you see here, was officially made a core value of the institution, along with stewardship, service, and excellence. And our entire plan was reorganized around these core values. Within the value of inclusivity, our main goals are to develop a full-year series of programs that both appeals to guests now and facilitates a long-term loyal audience and donor base reflective of the demographics of the Central Indiana region. To implement a recruiting, compensation, training, engagement, and succession program for employees that attracts and retains talented, diverse staff and volunteers reflective of the demographics of the Indianapolis region. To recruit exceptional board members who reflect our community and are committed to using their leadership abilities and financial resources to help Newfields accomplish these goals. And finally, to establish procurement practices that encourage the utilization of locally owned firms as well as minority, women, disability, and veteran-owned business enterprises. We have already made progress on these efforts, but there is still much more work to do here at Newfields, and our board and staff are committed to going further, to doing the right thing. Thank you for your ongoing support and your time today. Both are greatly appreciated, and I hope to see you soon again back at Newfields. Thank you.